Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy.
Where we give you the courtesy of conversation.
That's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show.
So, D-Mac.
Yeah.
So everyone's talking a lot about the presidential election that's coming up. More than likely it's going to be Trump and it's going to be Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And both of them are well past senior citizenship age.
Yes.
I think they're damn near male, what's it called?
I'm telling you, one wears a diaper and the other one looks lost.
Life expectancy, like damn near male life expectancy for people who live in the United States. I think. How old is Biden?
Dirt old. I can look it up. I think he's like 79.
Yeah, I think Trump's like 77.
They're about the same age.
You know what I mean? But I mean, to be honest, Trump has a lot more like vitality in him. Biden's not dead in the water, man. If I really compare him to anybody, you look at this is a horrible comparison because Mitch McConnell is finished. He should not, he shouldn't. We talked about this already, but he shouldn't even be on the Senate anymore. His people know, his staff know. They're having to pull him every other time he's having a conversation. I haven't seen him have to do Biden like that yet.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell's 81. It says on here. Mitch McConnell he's a menace anyways. He was doing things just to make someone else look bad. Think about it. He ruined people's lives in America and made your life harder to make one person look bad.
I mean, that's the facts. That's a fact.
I mean, true. Yeah, it said Mitch McConnell's 81.
I mean, you look at it like, okay, how old is Biden? Does it say
80?
80. Okay, how old is Trump?
Hold on, let me see.
I think he's probably
and Donald Trump is 77.
I mean, damn, they're pretty much same age. But to be honest, Trump has more, oomph in him than Biden does. I was watching him, Biden. I think this was he was talking about a reporter brought up the fact that people feel like he's too old to run for office. And he was like, that's your assessment of the situation. Pretty much saying you're saying that. I mean, everybody's saying the shit. I mean, ain't nobody's gonna lie about it. Everybody thinks
they're both too old. I mean, think about it. Donald Trump, yeah, we can he looks like a little more oomph to him, but we're not seeing him every day. We see him on campaign trails and giving his Trump rallies and stuff.
That's all we need to see, man. That's all we see many of them.
He was blaming Nancy Pelosi. Man, he was getting messing people's names up. He was, they're both doing it. They're both old and senile.
I saw Biden the other day. He said something about he was talking about Gaza, right? That's Bibi Netanyahu. But he said Sisi, and he started talking about the Mexico border.
Yeah.
And but he's talking about Gaza though. They're like, oh, he's like, I feel that Gaza is, it's gone too far. It's terrible. The Mexico border. This, and he started saying that, and he's talking about Sisi, and he's talking about, and I think he's bringing up the Mexican president and everything. And he's man, his mind is pretty much like failing him right now.
They both got messed. They're too old. Think about it. Like, he's 80. If he gets elected again, he'll be 84.
Yep.
By the time he gets out. If Donald Trump gets elected, he'll be 81.
If they live through it.
Well, actually, no, he'll be a dictator, so he's just going to be in there until he dies and go senile or someone takes him over.
Yeah, I mean, if he lives through it, I mean, it's crazy right now that we were at a point right now where they felt like the only person who could beat him was this person. It was and he was already, the last time they had the election, they were saying this about Biden. You remember that?
Yeah.
Their last time when he ran in 2020, they were already saying that he was slowing down and he was missing a step. And he was actually, you could tell he was off, but he made it through it. But this time it's like 4 years later now, man. Like, what you think that?
Well, I mean, see, they're both old, so I'm like, you can point at Biden and be like, he's too old to run for president, but you gotta look at Donald Trump like he's too old to run for president. They're both too old. Like it, though. No, it does. It does. He's too old. Yeah, of course.
I'm not trying to say that I like him or I want him to win or anything like that. I'm not saying that.
I don't like either one of them.
But I don't see. I mean, there's a missing. There's like something like a cog missing in
Joe Biden.
Yeah, man.
You can see it in his eyes. I saw it when he went to the black church. He was like, "Oh, why are they in chains?" Oh, damn. He went to the barbershop talking to some random black dude. Like, he was like, "If you were guarding for me, I would have been all state." I'm like, bro, that dude was probably a cook all his life. You don't know him like that. You're just looking at him like a worker. You know what I'm saying? And Donald Trump, he barely know where he at too.
Yeah, man. I like I said, man, we're in a sad state of affairs right now. I was watching.
We sure are. It's like, who's gonna win in game day checkers before their nap to be president?
But this is the situation that we want to be in. I've never seen so much, like, people love Trump. Like, Trump's supporters like love him to the point to where Yeah, to the point to where they would
They don't care what he does.
They damn near fight for him. It's like a gang with them.
Well, they don't care what he did. Like, oh, you got accused of raping a woman and then harassing her about it. Still got my vote.
Hey man,
grab him by the pussy. Still got my vote.
As like a deep state. Like
Mexicans in cages. Still got my vote.
I mean, but you know, I remember Obama did
kicking the black folks out. Still got my vote. Sleeping with porn stars. Now you really got my vote. You know what I'm saying? They don't care what he does.
They don't care.
He's right. He's like, I can shoot somebody on Fifth Ave, and you guys be like, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's because
how dare you get blood on his Insurrection 6s?
I mean, hey, that's the crazy thing too. We can talk about that too.
Hey man, at least he's hip with it. You know, I'll give him that. Like when he came in, he's like, "No, I'm gonna talk to people on Twitter." He's like, "That's how I talk to people. That's how we gonna get the word out." And he was on Twitter, and it was a good time. Every time I got on there and there was a misspelled word, I'm like, "Ooh, Trump's at it again."
Hey, I'm gonna say, like, man, I just at this point in time, man, we're at such a kind of a crazy point in just America that these are not the two people that we want to be running for president. What I would also say is that Biden has done a decent job as being president. People are going to say, oh, well, what do you mean? Inflation, this, that. Inflation happened because of a few other different reasons that had nothing to do with Joe Biden. Inflation was already inevitable. After we had the 2008 crisis, all the money we pumped into the economy and kept on pumping the economy. And at the same time, you're keeping interest rates low. Like so low interest rates means banks lend out more money. More money in the economy means inflation rises. That's what this means. And then as soon as Trump got in office in 2016, he had a good economy he came into. What did he do? Cut taxes. You do not cut taxes in a good economy. That's basic economics 101. You don't do that. What else did he do? He kept interest rates low. So now he's pumped more money into the economy, giving people more money in their pockets. I mean, which people say, oh, that's a good thing, which is it is a good thing. But also with banks having more money in their pockets too, now they're lending out more money. So there's more money in the economy. And what do people do when there's more money in the economy? People buy stuff. When you buy things, what happens? Now you have to make more stuff. And if I can, at the end of the day, if I can charge you more for something because the demand is higher, that's what I'm going to do. And what happened in 2020? Everything shut down. So with everything shutting down and they're pumping more money into the economy, everyone has more money to buy things. And that's why that's why inflation is rising.
Well, then you got greedy CEOs that are squeezing people and like everyone's acting like they're scared to do something. Like McDonald's is charging you $18 for a Big Mac meal. Subway is charging you $15 for a foot long.
What would you do?
Stop eating there. Stop giving them your money. You know what happens? They had a building downtown. They built these condos, right? And no one bought them. You know what they did? They cut them in half and they lowered the price because nobody was buying it. Once people just realized, like, you know what? I'm not going to shop here with you.
Are you talking about here?
Everywhere.
Are you talking about in our city?
In our city, yes.
Well, the reason why that happened too is because those were built during the economic crisis, 2008. Those went up during that time, so people didn't have them. They weren't able to get financing to buy them. That's what really hurt those buildings.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say the prices didn't hurt them as well back in that time frame. That was 2008. That's what damn near 20 years ago, or at least 16 years ago. I mean, but it also was the fact that banks couldn't lend; they were not lending. And so it's like, man, nobody can buy these fucking buildings, man. We got to get them off one way or another.
Yeah.
They just start getting them off to how they could, you know what I mean? But that's the biggest thing. I don't see anything else you could say about, then there are like migrants coming over the border, not to get back into that subject again, but I will have to say that's a hell of a knock on them. We got a lot of migrants coming into this country right now. We do need to do something about that. But other than those few things,
7.2 migrants been in 7.2 came in the last 3 years. That's
a lot.
It's a lot of migrants.
Yeah, we don't know where they're at. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, where they're going. They said a lot of Chinese ones are coming in too.
But like I say, overall though, his administration has done a good job. They've done a good job managing these wars without the help of the other party. They've done a hell of a job, I think. So
you're talking about Biden?
Biden's administration.
Let me tell you. I remember before we started the show, you wanted me to look up pros and cons of what Joe Biden has done during his administration. And I found a couple. I found that he did the infrastructure bill.
Okay.
And then also he did the Asian Pacific Islander hate crime bill.
Okay.
And for that reason, that left a bad taste in my mouth.
Really?
Do you think I believe everyone should be protected, right?
Absolutely.
But what about African Americans? Now you can say that, they made the anti-lynching bill, but they don't classify anything they do to us as lynching anymore.
Such as
Ahmaud Arbery, jogging down the street, minding his business, chased down, murdered by 3 white dudes. They didn't even want to charge him at first until everyone made an uproar. They were going to let it go. Then they had to arrest them 3 and the prosecuting lady down there because she was going to let him slide.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? George Floyd, we watched him get lynched. He was lynched in 4K.
But okay, so you were using the word lynching, and what we normally attribute to lynching is, a person being hung by a tree. At the same time, those people got broke off though. They got some time for what they did.
After we made an uproar about it.
I understand we had to make an uproar about what went on in Georgia.
Yeah.
But they did get some time over that.
But we shouldn't have to make an uproar. You know what I'm saying? You can look at a black dude and be like, oh man, he committed a crime. He's a thug. Yeah, but cool. But that thug is going to go to trial. He's going to go to court. He's going to go to jail for the rest of his life. And might probably get the death penalty.
Though, is that we still have, what are they called? What are they called? Something, like Twilight or something like Dust Towns or something like that.
Sundown Towns.
Sundown Towns here in America. We still have that.
They still have them. They have them in Washington too.
Not to divert the subject, but we just had a march of Klansmen or
no, there's Nazis in Tennessee.
Not Nazis. I said
Nazis. Nazis in Tennessee. You know what's crazy about it? The people are like, why were they allowed to march there? Well, they got a permit to do it.
But I'm just
saying, you know what I'm saying? Like now think about that. They got a permit to march as Nazis in America.
Man, you can get a permit to march as anybody in America. It's like freedom of speech, freedom of
But Kanye West is the problem.
Now, but let's go back to what we talked about like you're saying about the crime bill. To me, I mean, the reason why people like Asians and people Pacific Islanders can get that because they have a home country. A lot of times that brings a base. If you look at things that happen to Jewish people, Israel will speak up for them. We didn't have anyone speaking up for black people because we don't have a nation outside of America who has our back like that.
America is our nation.
Exactly.
Black African foundational black Americans have been fighting to save America since the Civil War, since America has been created. If it wasn't for African Americans, foundational black Americans, the Union would have lost because the South was beaten.
We wouldn't have America if it wasn't for America. We were at a time we were the stock market of America. I get that. I understand all that. What I'm saying is that now where we are today is that they have other nations like China and other Asian nations, Japan, are going to speak up for their people from their country, and they have pull. They're talking to the people at the highest levels to be able to say, hey, they're killing people of XYZ descent. They have people who actually understand how voting works, not just that you vote every 4 years for the president. The president doesn't pass bills by himself. You need the Congress, you need the Senate, and then it goes to the president. Yeah. We don't do that as black Americans. And a lot of times we just complain. And that's a horrible word to use because we're not just complaining, we're telling the truth. We're actually advocating, but we're not advocating for ourselves in the correct way. We just don't. We say, we're not going to vote for Democrats anymore. But in truth and honesty, Democrats have way more they've done more for black people than any other.
What have Democrats done solely, specifically for African Americans?
What if African Americans or black people, I don't call it, black people asked for from Democrats? What have we asked for solely?
I want the same hate crime bill as the Asians got.
I'm telling you,
I want the same crime. Think about it. They got it after a year of issues attacked. They got after a year of COVID, you're gonna get a hate crime bill.
You don't even know why they got that. We got to remember who the reasons why these people can get anything passed about crime bills for different religions or not different religions, but different ethnicities or anything. It's because of us. We pushed this agenda a long time ago.
Because the civil rights, but everyone gets civil rights. Name one thing Democrats have done specifically for African Americans.
This is what I'm gonna say right here. There's nothing that they can do specifically for African Americans unless we actually ask for it.
We've asked them for plenty of stuff.
There's only one thing that let's get back to that now. There's only one thing they can do is reparations. That's the one thing, but again, back to what I said before. We don't understand how the United States government truly works.
All my reparations went to Ukraine.
Come on, man. I mean,
I'm saying though, they say they don't have the money, right? They say they don't have the money after do these studies. All your reparation money has gone to Ukraine. They could have paid you out. I mean, at least it's something to check, right? I'm like this. Democrats can't get my vote no more. Okay, you can't. They just use us and misuse us.
I mean, so then you vote for a group of people who've already shown you that you don't have a say so at all in their group.
I'm not voting for Donald Trump either. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit back here and let America crumble because America, until they do right by the African Americans that have constantly saved them over the years, this country will continue to crumble. That's just what it is.
Let's go back.
America is a boring place without us.
Let's go back and keep it real now. Okay, back in like the 1860s, 1870s. 1865 is when the civil war happened, and it was over with at that point in time. Blacks were freed, Emancipation Proclamation, blah blah blah. Okay, now after that, most Southern states, they started allowing blacks to vote. Most Southern states had like majority black people in them, so we ended up becoming senators and like Congress people in these states. And at that time, we were Republicans. At that time, that was the party that actually pushed for the freedom of, the
Emancipation Proclamation
of slavery.
Yeah,
the abolishment, but the abolition of slavery. Okay, and so at that time, what blacks did in the Congress was they voted for the public school system to be enacted. And that helped black people because we couldn't even be educated at that time. That was for the masses, but it helped black people. Let me get back to this now. You made a point. Okay, now so let me go back to and answer that now. Civil rights, that was for black people.
That's for everybody.
No, but who did it help the most at the end of the day?
But who is it? I said specifically.
Okay,
it's for everyone. Everyone gets civil rights.
I understand, but at the end of the day, until we can ask for something independently and point the finger and then make that happen, it's not going to be whatever's good for the poor right now, because we're the poorest of the poor. Blacks make, on average, less than any other race in this country. We're the poorest. So whatever you do for the poorest of the poor affects us. So until we can say, okay, listen, I need 60 senators, which we're never going to get. 60 senators. We don't even have 60. We only one time in our lifetime that I know of, we had 58 different Democratic senators, which is damn near a filibuster proof. Which they do is they make it. They put it in place what's called a filibuster, where you have to have 60 of the 100 senators vote for a law and pass it to pass the law. That never happens. That's why we won't get reparations until we get to a point where we tell Joe Biden, get rid of the filibuster. And then we put in at least 55 or more senators who are for reparations. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican, as long as they understand that the black vote will affect them. That's the only way you get it. Then you have to have at least 218 Congress members to vote for this law too. So what they say is, sometimes there is a majority of Democrats in Congress. Okay, so some of them are called blue dog Democrats. At the end of the day, that's like a Democrat that comes from like a damn near Republican leaning district, where they're not really for all the shit that we want to ask for as far as Democrats are for, but they'll vote for a Democratic a congressman because he may be he may not have be big on spending, or he may not be big on abortion or whatever, but he's like a middle of the road kind of a Democrat. We have to understand who we're picking and where we're picking. This is why other races actually do well in this country, and we always lightweight just spit out, no one's doing anything for us. But what have we asked for, first of all?
I'll tell you. Okay, so Ice Cube went up to Joe Biden and the Democratic Party before the election.
Yeah.
And he came up with a contract with Black America. And this, I'm just going to proofread a little bit to you. So Ice Cube proposed a contract with Black America, which aims to address critical issues affecting the Black community. This contract was designed to initiate essential conversation and encourage improvement. Here are some of the key points from the contract. Banking reform. The contract with Black America advocates for reform in banking practices to support Black communities. Police reform. It emphasizes changes in policing methods and accountability. Prison reform. The contract calls for the abolish of the private-run prison. Confederate statue removal of Confederate statues. Reparations. Support for reparations to address historical injustices. Baby bonds. Federal funding for baby bonds starting with $1,000 at birth. Wealth gap. Measures to close the wealth gap between Black and white Americans. You know what they told him after he said that? They told him, we'll talk about it after the election. They still have not met with Ice Cube. They're actually still ducking him and ignoring him. They tried to slander his name. The thing is, the Democrats have left a bad taste in my mouth for a long time, and they're not going to get my vote until they do something. The whole thing, Cornel West. Okay. When they went to try to talk to people, and they didn't get Cornel West, they didn't even get Killer Mike. They brought out Cardi B. Okay, Cardi B is used as propaganda against the Black community.
One man, him going there, that's just not to cut you off, but with him going there by himself, that was a good first step. He's starting the conversation, but you have no power going there by yourself. And we don't vote in the right elections. We don't vote in the right districts. It's not just about the legislative branch. When you bring up like criminal reform, all this other stuff that he's saying, that's judicial. You know who puts these judges in power? The legislative branch does that. You know what I mean? They put these judges in power. Yeah. We have to understand how this whole system works. We have to vote local as well. That's who mayors put police chiefs in, fire department chiefs in. That's how you change your.
Well, now people need to realize that too.
We don't do those things, but then we want to say, oh, what do they do for Black people? Man, you know what Obama did? He put Obamacare in. That's health insurance. You know how much that's really kills the black. Black people have some of the worst healthcare results in the entire in all of America.
That's kind of how we got to escape that major heroin addiction until they brought Future out.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but you understand what I'm saying to you. So for us to sit back and say what they don't do for us, we've gotten some major legislative wins, but none of them have been directed directly at us because we don't bring forth the kind of power that we need to. We were at one point in time the second largest voting bloc. We're now the third. Pretty soon we're pushing ourselves back further and further and further.
Well, a lot of people are saying, "What am I voting for?" I mean, you can vote for legislation and all that stuff, but they only come around and they think they can just come into a church and dance in a chicken shack.
So they figured it out. That's what works. They figured out that we only vote during the presidential campaigns. We don't vote during midterms. During midterms, that's when most times you get a president that goes into power. When Barack Obama came into power, we're going to use him because it's easier to deal with. 2008, he came in with a majority in the Senate. He brought the Senate to the Democrats, and he brought the House a majority wave to the Democrats. That was a huge wave. Nancy Pelosi came in and did her job. She got over I think it was 400 and something bills passed. The Senate is where it balked at because most of these senators were in states that were like purple states. Yeah. Where it was like, man, if I vote for this, I'm not going to win. We got to put ourselves in a situation where our power speaks for itself. We have to make them understand, okay, listen, even during the midterm, we're going to make sure you stay in power. But if you don't do what we need you to do, it's a wrap. Don't just talk about it. We got to come with what this is what we want and come and grow and droves what we want. Period. That's the problem. We don't do that.
Well, they're seeing it now. A lot of people have woken up to the situation. They're like, look, you helping everybody else out before you helping us out.
We got to assemble, man. That's all it is to it. I honestly have I got a plan. I understand. I have an idea what we should do. What we should ask for and how we should ask for it. That's something we're going to present later on down the line. But I think that's what the biggest problem is. We're just not asking for anything and then pushing the agenda. We can't just say, hey, Biden, get us reparations. Where's the votes? Where's the votes? Biden don't make laws by himself. He doesn't. He only signs off on them.
Hey, man, Trump made a whole bunch of executive decisions.
You can't do that.
You kind of can. You kind of can.
Not when it. Okay, you can't do certain things when it accounts for a certain portion of the American economy. If it goes over, like for us to ask for reparations, it's going to be trillions. You can't do that because a president can only make budget reforms, budget decisions when it's I think it's less than a certain percentage of the.
That's crazy. You can't ask for reparations, but he can go bomb other countries without permission.
Man, that's part of the game, man. I don't associate the two as the same thing. I understand this is a bigger game that we're playing. We're not just playing. We talk about Ukraine got our money, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that we have here because there's blockades like Ukraine and other countries that blockade things from happening to us. We could be on the ground fighting right now in Ukraine, but we're not.
Speaking of Ukraine, hey, to change the subject. But Putin said he want to take over Ukraine within the next 3 weeks.
But I want you to know I do respect what you're saying. Though,
yeah. No, I respect what you're saying too. It's a conversation.
In reality, it's getting harder and harder to defend.
Yeah, you can't defend the Democrats. They're not doing that. They come around for the vote. They don't do nothing for us. And they're not going to get a vote from me.
It ain't about them, man. It's about us.
Yay for the Asians that got a hate crime bill after a year of being tortured and tormented. But
we got to step up and do more for us. Period. We have to understand our power and walk in our power. There's something that we need to. That's something we really need to discuss and do. But
power of the black dollar.
You said again.
Putin said they had an intel report come out of Ukraine said he plans on taking it within 3 weeks. He wants to. So right before the election, he wants to show the people that's something that they're doing. So they expect to go a little harder in Ukraine in the next 3 weeks.
I think that he understands that. I read a little bit of. They're saying that he understands that the war is not popular in his country. I think they've lost. You different reports, but they're saying one report I read was like they lost like over 50,000 troops.
I heard it was 100,000.
Different reports.
Yeah, different reports everywhere.
I've heard something that was even higher.
Yeah, I heard something higher too. But I'm gonna keep it low because I don't want nobody.
Yeah, we don't really know for sure. They're not putting out those type of numbers, but that's not a popular thing when you're losing people for trying to take something that in reality your country probably doesn't even care about. People in your country are like, man, we don't care about that right now. We don't even. Most people take things because they need it. Like they need the land. Russia has plenty of land. There's plenty of terrain. There's plenty of everything else. They don't need it. They're looking at it like, man, why are we sitting here sending our kids into the meat grinder, what they're calling it, basically, because that's what they're getting shot down, and they got subpar weapons for what? For one man's ambition to put back something that we don't truly need to have happen. So I don't, like I say, man, I don't think that they could. I mean, they just knocked off one of their cities. I can't remember what the city's name is. They just knocked off a major city, and the Ukrainians retreated and like pretty much gave up the city. You know, so they're pushing forward in this war. We do. I mean, my personal opinion again, we need to fund that war so that we're not fighting in that war in a few years. It's like we didn't, just like what happened with Hitler. We didn't stop him, you know, and they say we should have stopped him in Poland or whatever it was. And then next thing you know, we're fighting them somewhere else.
Well, we got the new Hitler now. Like I'm saying, like we talked about a little bit, but it's like, let me read this off about the Nazi rally in downtown Nashville. You know, witness video on social media over the weekend showed a small group of people wearing red shirts, black masks, and giving Nazi salutes and carrying black swastika flags as they marched through downtown streets in broad daylight.
What were they called? Like I think the Blood Pride or something like that?
I believe so. Yeah, Blood Tribe.
Blood Tribe. Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? So, I mean, they said there's like 24
It's a growing neo-Nazi group.
There's like 24. They said they showed up in a box truck. So, yay out there for the transportation people who understand what box trucks are. They all hopped in the back of a box truck. They probably had seats in the back of the box truck, or they're holding on to the side of the walls.
Probably holding on to that piece of wood.
And they hopped in the box truck and they pulled up there. And the police said that when they left, they hopped in their box truck, drove out, and they followed them, I guess, to the outskirts of town, and
to make sure they got there safely.
Yeah, either got there safely or made sure they didn't do anything that, you know, whatever the case may be. But I guess they've been harassing more like LGBTQ like rallies and going to these different rallies and harassing these people at these rallies and stuff like that. So, I mean, we're going to see more and more of this. But I saw on the video that the people who were there were screaming out like, "You cowards, take off your mask, you cowards." Yeah. Because they were the guys who were marching were screaming like anti, immigrant type of callings. Hey, blah, 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 whoever they wanted to talk negative about. And they were screaming out. I heard I saw some German kind of,
I don't understand why the Jewish community ain't got the same smoke for them as they had for Kanye. I'm saying they took everything. I mean, you can't cancel Kanye. I'm just bringing it up. He said he made a tweet and y'all took money from him, record labels, deals, all that stuff. All you need is a license plate to figure out who these people are.
Yeah.
Like, where's the smoke? I mean, honestly, like, why are Nazis marching? I mean, you can do whatever. It's America. But Germany has laws where you can't even wave Nazi flags.
But they got a bigger reason to have that than anyone else,
Yeah.
24 people, man. I'm not too concerned. I don't think we're going to become
24 people Nazi. On TV turns into thousands over a country.
I mean, I think that we're already at thousands. We see that when we have a whole nother different kind of Nazi type of movement, not even a Nazi one, but a brewing racist movement brewing that's bigger than the Nazis. I don't think people are really looking to become Nazis in this country. They're more looking to say, we don't want you immigrants or whoever else in this country, go back to your own country. We've had that happening here for a long time. America has been.
Who's saying that? The Apaches or the Chickasaws?
They should say it too.
Which ones?
They should say it both.
That's the only person you talk about. Get up out my country. People. My bad. I shouldn't say that. People always say that. Hey, we shouldn't celebrate Christmas. We shouldn't do this. You have to understand. America was taken by force, and if you want it back, you're gonna have to take it by force. That's just what it is.
Are we advocating now for all out?
No, I'm just saying.
Or what are we saying?
You got people with guns, and you got people that think they can scream with a megaphone.
I don't think we have to take. I don't think it has to be taken back by force. I think. Why do you think they're screaming out? Jews will not replace us, and immigrants go back home. It's already being taken. It's being taken by Darwinism. Yeah. You know what I mean? The survival of the fittest. We have to understand this is what's happening. Why do you think they've gone into making these abortion laws that they're trying to get?
The crazy one they had in Oklahoma. Man, that's ridiculous, man. They got
what's happening.
If people don't understand, in Oklahoma, they're close to passing a bill where they want everyone that's ever had an abortion and about to get one in the future to register. You have to register to say that you've had an abortion.
Yeah, I think and was it Alabama? Was it Alabama where they made the embryo?
They made the embryo. Yeah, your embryo counts as a child.
You know why? Because they said that I guess a couple of different couples had gone in and had some of their eggs or some of their embryos frozen, and I guess a patient of the clinic or whatever wandered in and accidentally dropped a few of the trays, and so now they went in and they filed a civil suit that for like either murder or something like that against the clinic. Like, they're accusing them of murder against the clinic, and they allowed that to go forward. In Alabama. Like you can murder an embryo now. They understand that basically people who freeze their eggs or anything like that, if you can't dispose of them, you can't use them for any kind of clinical trials. They're calling these frozen embryos people.
But who gets the tax breaks?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm saying if they count as a kid, I should be able to claim them on my taxes.
That's crazy. That's
forever.
I mean, if I went and had like 15 embryos, like
I'm just saying, what is it going to get to the point where I handle some business and I get charged with 1 million murders?
That's it.
I'm saying, where does it stop?
It's a funny thing to laugh about, but it's because
he's
we're
killed
millions, barbaric, man.
Millions over the weekend. He's a murderer,
bro. I swear. Hey, listen. The cool part about it, man. The cool part about the whole thing, though, is that we're becoming such a barbaric country, man. We're going down this trail of everything's. This is what you get when you put certain people in office. When you don't vote. When you sit back and you say certain things like, why do we vote for these certain people? Why are we not doing this? Now, you got these people in office. They've been in office. They chant them on, buy their shoes. And now you got 6-3. And it's going to be that for a very long time because all these guys are like 60 or below. Some of them in their 40s and 50s. They're going to be, it's a lifetime appointment, Supreme Court. And this is what they did this for a reason. They did this because of the dynamic that its population is changing right now. You know what I mean? By 2040, 2050, this will no longer be a majority European Caucasian nation.
I mean, Texas isn't already. Texas, there's more Hispanics in Texas than there are Europeans. But, on one side, you got the crazy ones trying to, which is wild to me, women are even voting Republican because they're going to take all your rights away. It's going to be like the Handmaid's Tale. But then you got this story here from Democrats where, parents launch court battle after state removes child from home over improper pronoun use.
What state was that?
Indiana. Indiana couple is asking the Supreme Court to hold the state accountable after the child was removed from their home after they were accused of improper pronoun use.
By who? By the kid?
By the kid. They're giving the kids power. Mary and Jeremy Cox.
We're going way too far. It's strange to me. Like, what city was this in? This is Indiana. Indiana's a red state. I think there's only time I've known in my lifetime that Indiana's been blue. Maybe before when I was younger or something was when Barack Obama ran and he won Indiana. But other than that, Indiana's red.
They weren't abusing the kid. They weren't doing nothing to him.
I think he was the governor of Indiana. Mike Pence. That tells you how red Indiana is. Mike Pence. You remember Mike Pence? He was vice president for Donald Trump. The dude with the white hair. That's Indiana. You feel me? So let's not. And
I guess it's because they're Catholic. They're devout Catholics.
That's not a big democratic state. You know what I mean?
But they're doing that in California too. It's like if you don't respect your kids' pronouns, you're giving these kids power. First of all, your kid's an idiot. I'm not saying your kid's stupid, but your kid's an idiot. They don't know what they're doing half the time.
They don't know what they want.
Exactly.
And who's going to take care of them once they get into the state?
Now you're taking them, putting them in the system. The kid thinks that the system ain't no good for you. There is nothing in there you want.
At all. I mean, the system can't even take care of these kids. I mean, they're losing a bunch of kids. They lost a bunch of migrant kids. Probably sold them, and sold them off to sex trafficking. Who knows? That's where they go. Those kids. They said we lost them. How do you lose thousands of kids? You don't lose thousands.
No, they knew exactly where they went. Exactly. They know exactly where they went.
So I mean, this is kind of getting to a point to where this is not me advocating just vote Democrat blind.
We need to get people with common sense. Absolutely. First of all, we need to have a functioning government again.
Yep.
This government does not function. There's always something going on.
Why is this government not functioning?
It's more showmanship. Excuse me. It's more showmanship now than policy making.
It's on us. It's on us, man, because we like drama. We like to vote for people who brought out steaks on stage and said, buy my steaks, buy my shoes. Dude brought out a pair of knockoff Christian Louboutins, gold shoes with red bottoms. Let's be real, man. This is what we asked for.
Yeah.
We vote. We like voting for a person who can barely stand up and talk into the microphone, who can barely even cognitively speak to you. This is what we brought. James Clyburn helped Joe Biden in South Carolina. We probably could have had Bernie. I'm not a socialist, but I mean, I'd rather.
The thing with Bernie Sanders is his people are just like the people that they loud, but when it's time to show up, they don't show up.
I mean, I don't know. They showed up, but black people showed up more in South Carolina. He won I think he won in Iowa. I think he won every single primary before that. But South Carolina is where he got stomped at.
And I hate to say this, but Bernie Sanders is Jewish. They ain't gonna never let a Jewish man be president.
Yeah,
I mean,
you remember when Joe Lieberman was running? He was vice president ran for vice president from and I won't even say they'll never elect it because you got to look at down in Mexico.
I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic as people are saying. I'm just saying you're
saying something that you believe.
It's real stuff.
It's your belief. You say it. You know, but
he might change too many things, especially Bernie Sanders.
I'm hearing that the leading candidate in Mexico right now is a Jewish person. They're Jewish. The leading candidate in Mexico.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, that's Mexico.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not even like a 10% of the population.
It don't matter. In Mexico, you can run whatever you want in Mexico, but you got answers to the cartel.
What I'm saying though is
the cartel run Mexico.
At any point in time, they
got all the money.
At any point in time,
and the drugs,
things,
and the women.
At any point in time, things can be kind of what they're going to be. You know, that's kind of what I see. You know what I mean? I do believe that one day we probably will have a Jewish president. We probably will.
Yeah, but
I know that our government's already helped run by people of, Jewish descent. It's just the truth. They have
but also Bernie Sanders, he stood for too much.
Right now.
He was the stuff Bernie Sanders was saying. The establishment's like, nah, bro, not gonna happen.
But it doesn't. I mean, most presidents don't get half their agenda done anyways. It doesn't. What I say to you probably is not going to happen.
Trump did.
Like what? What did he get done except for tax cuts? What else did he get done?
Let's see. He got us out the Paris Agreement, like he said. He messed with the trade in China.
That's executive orders. What did he get? I'm talking about large scale, like, you know what I mean?
He got Roe versus Wade.
Yes, he did.
You know what I'm saying? He got your three. He got your 3 Supreme Court judges.
Yes, he did.
You know what I'm saying? He stopped the migrants from coming in.
Obama lost his way. He did not stop the migrants.
He stopped them. He put them in. Man, they had them in the cages with the aluminum foil blankets.
Obama had them in the cages.
Yeah, but Donald Trump had them in there fancy with photos and shit.
I think they just pushed it more.
He did a lot of stuff.
I think Obama deported more people than Trump did.
Yeah, Joe Biden deported more people. Now, lightly, actually, they made it cost more to get into America. Quietly, it costs more to actually apply for American citizenship. They just had a report about that. Well, Donald Trump did a lot, man. He a loudmouth, but he did a lot.
Me personally, I don't feel like I don't see anything that he did that really like a part of his. I mean, he did a lot of things he could do through executive order, but he didn't get bills passed, and that's what really matters. I mean, he got the Supreme Court. That's huge.
Does it matter?
We kind of gave.
Does it? Because he did a lot of stuff without. He was like, you know what? Boom, boom, boom. Wrote it down. He's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can do a lot of stuff with his. He was like, what can I do? Yeah. You can look at him like he's stupid, but he did a lot.
He did.
He didn't do it for the poor folks.
To me, I'm probably so anti-Trump because I see that he's an opportunist. He sees who his base is. His base is the 1860, 1830 American, make America great again, Republican or American, whatever you want to call it.
He's smart. He's like, yo, I'm going to focus on my base. He's like, focus on my base. Fuck everyone else. And that's what Democrats should do. They're trying to be nice to everyone. Oh, let's be nice. Let's care about everybody's feelings.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No. Stop
Absolutely.
that.
And I think that at the end of the day, there's still not enough of us in the Democratic Party to even push what we need to have done.
No, because they're crazy. One side of the bird is trying to focus on the people that want to go back at the time where women couldn't vote, black folks were in chains, and they could do whatever they want to do. And then the other side, they want to play what everybody wants to play, make-believe, and make up weird laws. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. It's two birds, it's 2 wings, 1 bird. And black people are under this bird carrying this thing. Like, damn, my back hurt.
Where we gonna go? I mean, it does sound like you got a point, man.
Mexico. I bet we could all just fly. I mean, we can't leave because they won't leave us alone. They'll follow us. We can go to Mexico.
Mexico's accepting us.
I think they would. I think they would. I think they would.
A lot of time, man.
They'd be like, they'd be like, do we get Jason Tatum too? And we I don't want to do the accent. No, they'd be with it. I think they'd be with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, at this point in time,
a little plan in Mexico.
We're Americans. I don't have anywhere else to go. I'm sure you don't have anywhere else to go. Nope. We're Americans, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, what do y'all think? Let us know. Like, comment, share,
subscribe.
We here.
Hit the ring button. Hit what is the bell.
Yeah.
Make sure you get all of our content first.
Make sure you see it. Yo, it's Uncommon Courtesy. I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And that's the show.